at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We gotta unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters. We are live right here, Thursday, December 26th. I'm Dean Obeidallah, as always, hoping to be your MBFF. I hope for those who celebrated Christmas, you had a great day, fun with your family. For those celebrating Hanukkah, that continues. I hope you're enjoying it. For those who celebrate nothing, I hope you had a great Wednesday, great Thursday, and more importantly, all of us have 2020 to look forward to as such an important time. The magic number 313, 313, that's how many days until November 3rd, Judgment Day, Election Day for our nation. And, you know, I know a lot of people bring up things like, well, if we beat Trump, which we're going to, he's not going to leave office, we're going to have a constitutional crisis, all that. Yeah, that's true. But that doesn't matter. That'll play out. We will deal with that. We will deal with Bill Barr and other Republicans trying to undermine our Constitution. But right now, our focus is winning the election on November 3rd. But in between, of course, we have a primary, which I almost wished on some level was more bruising because I feel like the energy is seeping out from it. And I'm hoping that in the new year, we're going to begin focusing on that a lot more collectively and build the energy up that was clearly there early in the summer, when the first debates were going on. So many people excited about so many candidates. And I'm not saying people aren't, but it just feels like impeachment has sucked up all of our energy and the oxygen, and we've got to focus on our candidates. But first, let's touch on a few things. Last night, they had a TBS holiday special. Samantha Bee was hosting it. She combined politics with the musical numbers. She went out there skating. They did the Abolish ICE skaters. Of course, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And she had this little quick thing to say, which I enjoyed. Clip number 1, please.
You know, in a lot of Christmas specials, this would be the time when I learn the true meaning of Christmas, but I already know it. Here it is. On Christmas, we celebrate the birth of a man whose message was one of radical kindness. A man who said, whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me. If you're not doing your best to show compassion for the poor, the weak, the sick, and yes, the immigrants, then you are doing Christmas wrong. I don't care what the hell is on your Starbucks cup. Anyway, Jesus loves me and he hates Fox News. Bye!
I like the Jesus hates Fox News thing. There are times on Twitter, I don't do this much. I don't fight with the right-wingers as much, but I used to, and I found this kind of trouble them a lot. I would tweet, they'd say something defending Donald Trump's hateful garbage and cruel stuff, and I would say to them, Jesus hates you. And their response always was like really hurt. They go, well, that's not fair. How do you know he hates me? And I go, well, I know. I have a good relationship with Jesus and he hates you. And it was really interesting how you could unnerve them on that. So when she says Jesus hates Fox News, I like that because it's playing on something for some reason troubles them. Speaking of Fox News, over on Fox News this morning on the Victimhood Network, where grievances are aired, not facts, just grievances, especially about white Americans who feel like there are too many people of color who are taking up their oxygen and their opportunities. There was Mark Stein was on. You might know him if you watch Tucker Klansman's show. He helps Tucker mainstream white nationalism. Well, he was on this morning early with Ed Henry, and they were outraged. Outrage over censorship, folks. Censorship of Donald Trump. And what was the censorship? Was it about something big like North Korea or Syria or maybe climate change? Where was the censorship? It had to do with Donald Trump being cut out of a repeat of Home Alone 2, which played in Canada. I'm not kidding. This is from Fox and Friends this morning. The whole team coverage of this. Not kidding. Really this morning. Clip number 2.
You mentioned Canadians, and there's a broadcasting company up there. A little bit upset, triggered, you might say, about this little cameo from a businessman named Donald Trump before he was president in Home Alone 2. Let's play the clip and we'll talk about it.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
They cut that out of their showing of Home Alone 2 in Canada. They claim it's because they needed to leave room for commercials. That's the one part. That's right. 6 or 7 seconds they cut.
Right, but that was a great 6-second commercial they had for whatever it was.
But how bad is your Trump derangement syndrome for you to cut that out of a happy movie?
Well, I think that they're actually terrified that people will remember that before he was the new Hitler, he was actually a beloved mainstream cultural... I think they're terrified of these little things that will remind people of just how deranged his opponents.
It's also censorship.
So it's censorship, and Mark Stein, of course, brought up Hitler. Why? I don't know. We don't bring up Hitler comparing it to Trump here because we try to be responsible. But on Fox News, they want people to believe that we are talking about Trump as Hitler. Trump is a vile human scumbag, but he's not of the evil level of Adolf Hitler. Let's be very clear about that. But I love the fact that the facts are very clear. What happened, by the way, here, that as the Canadian TV network has put out, they cut out Donald Trump and a bunch of other clips years before Trump even ran for president. This thing is from 1992. It's been rerunning on Canadian TV for years. And they cut out a bunch of stuff for commercials so they can jam in more commercials way before Trump. They knew that. It took a second to Google it. But this is just, in a way, typifies Fox News. Literally lying to their fan base there. Because it's about grievance. It's about white victimhood. Oh my God, my life. They cut out Donald Trump for 6 seconds. You see what these people are about. By the way, I actually agree. I wish Trump would have stayed on there because for 2 reasons. One, it reminds people of the punchline that Donald Trump was. Secondly, it gives you a chance to boo with your family on Christmas when Trump comes on screen. Nothing brings a family together like booing an evil jackass like Trump. But on a much more serious thing, what's going on, you had another way a Republican celebrated Christmas. Congressman Paul Gosar, a Republican in Arizona, a man who has attended white nationalist meetings because that's what you do when you're in the Republican Party. He tweeted out yesterday, remember the reason for the season, #Merry Christmas, and he showed a clip from a video, and what was the video? 1992 60 Minutes interview with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, a real interview where a heavy light fell from the fixtures above and almost hit Hillary Clinton on her head. And Bill Clinton, they literally had to dodge away, and Bill grabbed her and pulled her away. She could have been badly hurt. But Republican Congressman Paul Gosar shared that as being his idea of what Jesus Christ is about. That's the reason for Christmas, he says. So this is how they perverted Christianity. They are really the antithesis of everything Jesus was about. They are doing cruel, vicious things and saying, literally, he tweeted, literally, this is the reason for the season. Not Jesus. It's a lamp almost killing Hillary Clinton. That's how much they have begun to worship, just hate. Chelsea Clinton tweeted out today responding, at 11 a.m. on Christmas Eve, we were making cookies for Santa. Thank you, Congressman Gosar, for reminding me of my dad's quick reflexes. Because if you see the clip, which went viral, he grabs her and pulls her away as the light is falling. And it was a heavy light. It could have hurt him. It gets uglier, though. Donald Trump, the leader of the cruelty gang, tweeted today, why should crazy Nancy Pelosi, just because she has a slight majority in the House, be allowed to impeach the President of the United States? So let's be very clear. Donald Trump is asking, why, just because the Democrats won an election in 2018 and have the majority of the House, and they voted, and they follow the Constitution, why should they have the right to impeach King Trump? That's what he's asking. That's what he's asking his base, and they all love it on Twitter. Now, of course, the answer is Article 1, Section 2 of the United States Constitution. It says the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment. But Trump doesn't care about our Constitution. That's why when Trump jokes around about staying for more than 2 terms, we know that's not joking, that's priming. He's priming his base to be on board, and they're on board already. They don't care about the First Amendment for Democrats. They don't care. They're not going to care about the 22nd Amendment, which says no person shall be elected to the office of president more than twice. Translation overall, Donald Trump, he hates the checks and balances of our Constitution. He wants to be the same person, has the same power as the person who helped elect him, Vladimir Putin. He wants an ability to be a supreme leader where there's no press criticism. If you do, you disappear. There's no real political criticism. He does whatever he wants. And when Trump threatens our Constitution openly about staying in power for life, or why should they have the power to impeach me, trying to really delegitimize our Constitution. That's what Trump is doing, folks. He's trying to delegitimize the United States Constitution. And where is the Republicans? What's their response to this? Silence. Silence. Because they don't care. The GOP in Congress, hashtag Trump traitors, are about power. They will do anything to stay in power. Our Constitution is merely a speed bump on their way to complete control, which we talked about on Monday, which includes imposing Christian Sharia law, making the Bible the law of this land. And this is why the trial in the Senate, if we ever have one, must be fair. It cannot be the Joseph Stalin rigged show trial that Donald Trump wants. Joseph Stalin, former Soviet leader, had rigged show trials on TV all the time as a message to his supporters and to people who would dare speak out against him that we're going to have these show trials. That's what they were called, SHOW, show trials. He didn't call them that. He called them real trials. They were show trials to make a point to the people. What Trump wants is a Joseph Stalin type show trial handed to him by Mitch McConnell, his Khrushchev. That's why we have to fight this. I don't think for a second 20 Republican senators are going to put America first and our Constitution first over Donald Trump. I don't think that's going to happen. But this is an attempt, an effort to share with our fellow Americans and remind them of the criminality of Donald Trump. So you need a full and fair trial to do that. You need the witnesses that Donald Trump, the defendant, has blocked. You need Mick Mulvaney. You need John Bolton, who Donald Trump has stopped. You need the National Security Council lawyer, John Eisenberg, who, while his name is not a household name, is really important because two people, Fiona Hill and Colonel Vindman, went to him in real time reporting concerns about what was going on with Trump and Gordon Sondland, the ambassador, and Trump trying to extort help for his campaign from the Ukraine. You need those people. So that you've got the defendant blocking a full and fair trial, and all the Democrats want is simply a fair trial, knowing you will not get 20 Republicans to put America first. You cannot. It's not going to happen. They're going to put Trump first. They're about power. That's all they care about. And here's why I also think this full fair trial is so important. It'll make Donald Trump more concerned. And the more he freaks out, like today on Twitter, tweeting over and over, the less likely he commits another crime. It's really that simple. It's that base with this guy because July 24th, 2019, Robert Mueller testifies. July 25th, picks up the phone and asks the Ukrainian president to interfere in the 2020 election. Because as he told the Ukrainian president in that very phone call, Mueller testified and essentially he didn't do a good job. He had nothing to worry about. If impeachment had begun then, maybe he doesn't call the Ukrainian president. So I think the longer this goes on, the better it is for this entire country. Even the Trumpers who don't care. It is better for our nation that Donald Trump is distracted and cannot plan future crimes. Because you've got Mitch McConnell who's made it clear this will be a Joseph Stalin show trial. Here's Mitch McConnell just from last week. Here's clip number 3.
And everything I do during this, I'm coordinating with White House counsel. There will be no difference between the president's position and our position as to how to handle this to the extent that we can. We don't have the kind of ball control on this that a typical issue, for example, comes over for the House. If I don't like it, we don't take it up. We have no choice but to take it up, but we'll be working through this process, hopefully in a fairly short period of time, in total coordination with the White House counsel's office and the people who are representing the president in the well of the Senate.
So you've got Mitch McConnell saying that. You had Senator Lindsey Graham saying, quote, "I'm trying to give a pretty clear signal. I have made up my mind. I'm not trying to pretend to be a fair juror here." Close quotes. Lindsey Graham saying, "I'm not pretending to be a fair juror. I'm not." Ted Cruz has stated this trial is going nowhere. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin said the impeachment inquiry is a continuation of a concerted and coordinated effort to sabotage the Trump administration. Here's the weird thing. These guys get sworn in as jurors. This is very unique when you have a trial. The Constitution calls for them to have an oath. That oath, as set forth in the 1986 rules for impeachment, say this: trial. The senators must raise their hand and say, "I solemnly swear or affirm that in all things pertaining to the trial of the impeachment of," fill in the blank, "now pending, I will do impartial justice according to the Constitution and law, so help me God." So they have to swear or affirm under oath that they're going to be fair in the impeachment of Trump. They can't be. So at this point, McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, and Ron Johnson are either going to lie under oath, making them subject to criminal indictment, or they can't they have to disqualify themselves. I see no other way around this. Because again, the oath in the rules, this is the Senate rules on removal trials, they must take this oath. They must swear. And this is, when you're swearing in accordance with the Constitution here, it is under the penalty of perjury. It is potentially a crime if you do this and lie. So if Lindsey Graham says, I'm not impartial, he says right here, I'm not trying to pretend to be a fair juror. I've made up my mind. Mitch McConnell, the exact same type of thing. How can you raise your hand and say, I swear that in all things pertaining to the trial and the impeachment of Donald Trump, I will do impartial justice according to the Constitution? You can't do that. So either they have to disqualify or they're opening themselves up to criminal prosecution. I actually hope they do this oath and we can hopefully somewhere, somehow get them indicted. Now, they're not going to do, none of that's going to happen because the DOJ controls indictments. So as a practical matter, it won't happen. Now, the only Republican senator who said anything irresponsible, Mitt Romney said a little things, but Lisa Murkowski, the senator from Alaska, who is not up for re-election until 2022, and she's very popular in Alaska, she's a Republican, was on TV in the last day and talked about first her being disturbed by Mitch McConnell, saying he's coordinating the trial with Trump. So here's finally one good Republican. Here's clip number 4, please, Nina.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said there will be total coordination with the Senate and the White House counsel's office.
And in fairness, when I heard that, I was disturbed.
Murkowski says while this isn't a criminal trial, the Senate is still required to do impartial justice under the Constitution.
To me, it means that we have to take that step back from being hand in glove with the defense. And so I heard what Leader McConnell had said. I happen to think that that has further confused the process.
So you've got Murkowski making very clear that this should be, while not a criminal trial, and that's very true, nobody's liberty is at risk. That would make it a criminal trial. In this case, there's no financial penalties involved. It's simply the office you're in. Can you keep it or not? And then she goes on to say what every senator really should say, to be blunt, even Democrats, the idea they won't prejudge the case. Here's clip number 5.
The senator undecided how she'll vote until she's heard the evidence.
For me to prejudge and say there's nothing there, or on the other hand, he should be impeached yesterday, that's wrong. In my view, that's wrong.
As she calls for a process that is fair and full, and her vote could be key in ensuring that happens.
So she can raise her hand and say, I solemnly swear that in all things pertaining to the trial and the impeachment of Donald Trump, I will do impartial justice according to the Constitution and laws. She can do that. Lindsey Graham cannot do that. Mitch McConnell cannot do that. Ted Cruz cannot do that. Ron Johnson cannot do that. So the question is, will they lie under oath? Will these men lie under oath and swear, it's not about before God, it's before potential criminal liability, that they're going to be fair and honest in this trial, which they told us they're not going to be. So at some point, and it's going to be once we get closer, we don't know if there's even going to be a trial. To be blunt, there's a chance there's never a trial here. That's possible. Donald Trump, though, has been impeached. That stays with him forever. And this is really going to hurt the Trumpers. Jonathan Turley, remember the Republican law professor you guys love? Although he might be a Democrat in any event, he supported the impeachment of Clinton. He was called by the Republicans to testify at the impeachment hearings a few weeks ago. Guess what? He's got a new op-ed, just one up, 6 o'clock tonight, the Washington Post. Makes it point blank. Donald Trump has been impeached. There's no debate. There was never a doubt. He has been impeached because the sole power of impeachment is by the House. The trial thing is separate. If there's ever a trial, it can happen, it might not. Donald Trump will still remain the third president only in the history of this great republic to be impeached. And the question is, while all of this is going on, isn't moving public opinion? Well, I always say this, and I'll say it before I announce this poll, never just look at one poll. It can be outliers. This poll by MSN, though, is a daily tracking poll. So it's kind of interesting. So every day it's been tracking support for Donald Trump, not just impeachment, but removal. In mid-December, about 48% of Americans supported Trump's removal and impeachment. 46% said no. Well, yesterday, it's a daily tracking poll. I'm not sure what's happening. in the last week that's affecting voters, but it's slowly ticked up. And yesterday was the highest. Yesterday, literally 55% of Americans, daily MSN tracking poll, 55% support impeachment and removal, and only 40% oppose it. And to give you some historical perspective, Bill Clinton, it never got over 42 or 43% support for removal. You might be asking, what about Richard Nixon? Richard Nixon, the height of the American public supporting removal of him was about a week before he resigned. That was 57%. Folks, we are 2% below the highest point of Americans wanting to remove Richard Nixon. Now, so if this trial is done well, forget the 20 Republicans putting America first. Not going to happen. Don't even get upset about it. Not going to happen. Our fellow Americans might see a fair and full trial. That's why they have to hold this up. That's why they need the witnesses that they're demanding, the Democrats. And it's out of fairness. It shouldn't even be demanded. The only reason they haven't testified in the House, it's not because the Democrats didn't want them. Trump blocked them. Where else have you seen a defendant be able to prevent numerous witnesses with relevant, vital information to testify? Never. Not going to happen. Only in this scenario, because this rigged system that Trump wants is continuing. The Democrats don't want to wait to go to court, and I get that. So let's take a break, come back. I'd love to hear from you. I'm not going to hit my head against the wall. When will the Republicans wake up? I am glad Senator Murkowski said this. Will a few other senators echo her sentiments that we need to have a full and fair trial? We need to say that we are going to have an open mind about it. I hope many do. You might see a lot say that. And you might have what you would need for the Democrats, Chuck Schumer, to undermine Mitch McConnell and get 51 votes on procedure. That is full and fair. That's actually not a rigged trial. The breaking news tonight, a short time ago on CNN, reporting that Mitch McConnell is saying he will make a deal he will set the rules for the trial without Democratic support. He's going to do that on his own. He could probably do that. Only needs 51 votes. But here's the thing. It really makes the entire trial look rigged. So if you do that, Mitch McConnell, you've just shown the American people you don't care about the truth. You don't care about the facts. You just care about protecting Donald Trump. So actually let them do that, because to remind people, with Clinton's trial, the Democrats and Republicans unanimously agreed on the rules in the Senate, 100-0. They voted bipartisan on the impeachment trial rules. And who was upset? The Clintons were upset. Team Clinton was upset about that. They were hoping the Republicans would just try to pass rules that were not bipartisan. Democrats control the chamber, but they were hoping at most it would be a couple of Democrats supporting them. Instead, you had unanimous. In this case, let the Republicans vote 51-0, all Republicans. And that makes the case to the American people. This is just a game by Mitch McConnell, not about protecting our Constitution. Let's take a break. Come back. I'd love to hear from you. We have great guests on tonight. Malcolm Nance is going to join us, and my friend Amanda Marcotte from Salon will be here in the next hour. But right now, you're my guest, 866-997-4748. Give me a call. I'll be right back after this.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
I think Trump clips that they play on the media should